Hello, everyone. Welcome to the City Council workshop focused on employee recruitment, retention, and development. Before we call the roll, Councilwoman Helsley will lead us in the pledge. For those who are able, please stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, will you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Fugate, Councilwoman Helsley,
Here.
Councilwoman McKenzie, Councilwoman Parker, Councilwoman Alberto,
Here.
Councilwoman Singh, Vice Mayor Smith,
Here.
Councilman Thomas. 6 members present, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. We may have a couple more trickle in, but to get us started, thank you, everybody that's here. I see a lot of city employees here. Let me be the first to say thank you for your commitment to doing what you do and serving the people of Knoxville in the highs and lows, in the loud and quiet. We appreciate the steadfast work that you do. This council has supported city employees in as many ways as we can, and we're going to keep doing it today. So thank you all for being here. Before we get started with the formal presentation, I've asked members of employee representatives to each join us and say a few words. So to kick us off, Mr. Booker, would you please come up to the mic and spend a few minutes with us? Thank you, Chad. Oh, you're going to need to use the little person button. You got
How's
it.
that? Good?
There you go.
Okay.
You're up.
Hey, guys. I am Detective Jason Booker. I'm the employee rep for the police department. I was going to talk today and let you guys know that we really appreciate the work the city has put forth with recruitment and retention. We know there's a lot of hard work that's went in from HR, civil service, mayor's office, the council. We know some hard decisions were made as far as the new pay structure we went through and the study that came with that, and we appreciate it. And for the first time in a long time, Knoxville Police Department actually has more coming in than we have going out. And so we have caught up to attrition that was that we were really we were in a danger of losing a race there for several years. But things are looking good now, and we appreciate that. And we know that this is one of those things where it will have to be addressed again. Of course, in a few years, that won't be your problem, but it's something that the new administration, years down the road, the new council years down the road may have to look at, revisiting something as far as market rates and things like that. And we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But as far as where we're at right now, we really appreciate what the city administration and all the departments has done for us. I passed out to you guys, Mr. Johnson did. It's what you'll see on there is you'll see a cover letter from Detective David Ogle. David is one of our veteran officers here with us. He's been with us for over 25 years. He's also a veteran of the United States military. And I'm not sure if you're aware or not, but the city actually has a buyback program that's listed in code. I think it's 1305, I believe, is the section. And with that cover letter, you also see a copy of 1305. And so what it does, it lays out what the city will allow a veteran to do with his honorable or her honorable service from the military. They can actually buy that back. The issue we're having is we asked our veterans to buy that back almost immediately upon the completion of their probationary period with the department. And if you're talking about, relocating your family from across the country, that's a lot of money. And the average right now that the pension board is giving us is that costs about 67% of your annual salary to get those back and to get those years back. And we have to do it very quickly the way the code is written now. So what I'm just doing, I'm taking just a real quick few minutes to ask you guys if you would maybe consider looking at that, working on that, bring that up later. I know it's in code, so I know that's a whole different can of worms as far as getting on the ballot and voting and things like that. I understand that. I'm not asking for an immediate fix, but I do need to plant the seed because I do think if we address this, that may be a way for us to go ahead and kind of piggyback off of what HR and civil service have done as far as giving our veterans a little bit more recognition and a little bit more leeway with how we address them and promote them and recruit them. So I think it's worth the look. And if you guys have any more questions with it, I'll be happy to get you in touch with Detective Ogle, because like I said, he's done the lion's share of the work on that. And if you want to, any kind of, I hate to say committee or subcommittee, but I know how these things work, he'll be happy to sit down and talk with you guys about that. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, up next, I'd like to invite Stephanie Guptill to speak on behalf of the general government employees.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephanie Guptill. I am the president of the City Employees Association. So I am here representing our non-uniformed employees, a very large diverse group, including public service, IT, engineering, municipal court, even the civilians in KPD and KFD, and more. First, I want to recognize some improvements the city has made in recruiting new employees, from our large hiring events to the ability to not only hire above the minimum based upon experience, but really anywhere within the pay grade. We're now able to compete for talent rather than losing out, which really wasn't the case before. The city's benefits program also continues to grow. I am in benefits, so I am biased. With our benefit rates and coverages that are far better than benchmarks, with no increases to employee rates, new parental leave, new matching on our 457B program, and the upcoming free family gym membership, those all make a difference. Those are all really positive changes. But that brings me where I think we need to focus going forward, on the talent, skill, and expertise of our current employees. We often hear salary compression talked about. According to the 2022 MAG compensation study, wage compression can occur when low wage rates are increased as new hires come on, and they're earning the same amounts as those who may have been with the organization for years. This is very real in some of our departments. In public service, our general government department with the most vacancies and the highest turnover, the pay difference between the lowest and highest paid public service worker one is only $2,728.70 per year. With both new and 19-year veteran employees all falling within the bottom 13% of that pay grade. If you remove longevity, the difference in their base pay is only $808.70 per year. It's hard to imagine that 19 years of skills and experience are valued at less than $1,000 a year. Some may ask, why don't they promote? Or what if they're not strong performers? Well, not all employees want to or are able to promote. And if a 19-year employee hasn't grown in skill, then as an employer, we have failed them. So how did we get here? Market pressures required higher starting salaries, but existing employees' pay didn't adjust through those new bands. Yes, absolutely, salaries rose in 2022, and we were far below market rates before the MAG study. But are employees paid adequately for skill and experience? Sometimes, yes, but not always consistently. The cost of living makes these impacts more significant. According to MIT, the current living wage for a single adult in Knoxville is $22.37 an hour. That's up 12% since just 2020. We have no public service worker ones or twos who make a living wage. Within equipment operator 1 and 2, we have 3 individuals making a living wage. It's not until employee operator 3 that many of our public service employees actually hit that benchmark of making a living wage. Many work second jobs just to get by. I did ask several of them about coming today, but they, have other jobs after they clock out at 3 o'clock. Citywide, we do have 255 regular full-time employees in 12 different departments who aren't yet making that living wage number. No matter how great our benefits are, If employees can't afford rent or to fill their gas tank, they're not going to be content. The 2022 MAG report warned those whose pay is compressed are likely to be affected by low morale. They will feel discouraged. This can lead to deficient performance and retention issues related to salary compression. The good news is, I believe the city wants to address this. Dr. Drummond and her staff have already held town halls with public service employees, and HR is funded this year to review the longevity program. In 2022, MAG recommended increasing our bonus pool from 0.5% to 1% to 2% to reward performance and reduce compression. Dr. Drummond did request that in her budget this year, but unfortunately it just wasn't able to be approved. Thus are things with the budget every year and those tough decisions. But having this budget would allow us to support our employees' continued growth. If our compensation philosophy values responsibility, skills, and knowledge, not just length of service, then our highly skilled employees should not stay at the bottom of their pay grade. At the end of the day, we have long-term employees providing essential services who may not feel valued. Yes, we must be fiscally responsible, but we also seek to pay fairly. How do we make employees feel valued today when solutions like longevity and our next salary survey are still a year away? That's the question that we need to answer, and I look forward to being part of the solution with our team here at the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Guptill. And last but not least, Mr. McAfee, on behalf of the fire department employees.
Good evening, Larry McAfee. I'm the employee rep for the fire department. Thank you for having me, Vice Mayor Smith and members of council. Recruitment and retention are important challenges that are not unique to just the city of Knoxville and the Knoxville Fire Department. For more than a century, the fire service did not have to actively recruit individuals to join. However, for the past decade or so, that has not been the case. In recent years, KFD formed a recruitment team utilizing current firefighters. They visit high schools, regional colleges and universities, and job fairs. The Human Resource Department has job postings on websites. Efforts are being made by both the fire department and its administration to attract qualified applicants. When I applied to the fire department in 2009 and again in 2011, there were several hundred candidates in attendance at the Walter Life Sciences Building on the University of Tennessee's campus, all vying for 20 to 30 positions. In 2015, those numbers dropped to around 470. In 2019, the number of applicants rose to approximately 550. This past February, with the assistance of the HR department and civil service, the recruitment team produced a recruitment expo that was the catalyst for excitement from both employees and potential applicants. It resulted in the largest number of applicants in the past 5 years, which was 382. Another valuable resource for recruitment are the employees. They are plentiful, and quite frankly, they are free advertisement. This leads me to the second focus of today's workshop, retention. Retaining cherished employees should be a focal point of every employer. The fire service counts on experienced leadership, leaders that put in years of service through blood, sweat, and tears, all to perfect their craft. Employees must feel valued by their employer. A highly motivated and valued employee will provide increased productivity and overlook some of the minor inequities to continue employment with a particular employer. Compensation and culture are two areas that support an employee's mentality of feeling appreciated. We hope you understand that as firefighters, we did not go into this profession thinking that we're going to be rich one day. We understand budgets and everyone is competing for a piece of the same pie. We understand Knoxville does not have the tax base as Knoxville, and we are not advocating for physical irresponsibilities of Memphis. However, the question being asked is, as the third largest municipality in the state of Tennessee, why does it seem to be a struggle to get employee salaries to reflect that notion? Cities such as Chattanooga, Murfreesboro, and Cleveland should not be have competitive salaries as us. We are bigger, and quite frankly, we are better than those places. Other issues that have a negative effect on morale are compression and leapfrogging. On a positive note, the 4.2 annual salary increases help to retain many individuals. It will be of great assistance if it continued. Firefighters want to be a part of something greater than themselves, something that promotes career growth and provides recognition, incentives, a positive work-life balance. Add in accountability, and you have yourself a healthy and a beautiful work environment. In conclusion, I do not pretend to be a subject matter expert. I have, however, read about these same issues within other fire departments and their solutions. This administration has shown a willingness to address these concerns and work toward long-term solutions. An example is their desire to bring in a consultant to help us find solutions to these challenges and others that the fire department face. Again, thank you, Council, for listening, and thank you for your support.
Thank you. All right, so thank you for those remarks. We appreciate it. You're each bringing a different perspective to unique employees at the city, and much appreciated. We have with us Mayor Kincannon. You're going to kick us off with some remarks, so welcome. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to address you this evening. Yeah, it's this afternoon. It's not this evening. Anyhow, I just wanted to say a few opening remarks. I appreciate our employee reps who shared some important perspectives. As you know, the vast majority of our budget is allocated to compensation and benefits, and that is important because we are a service organization, and we are only as good as the abilities and morale and service qualities of the employees who serve our city 365 days a year. And our people are key to our success. So I just want to say that while we always have challenges and people always deserve more, this council has done more for employee compensation than any council in recent history. So I do want to say that I'm committed to making our city a model employer, both in terms of amount of compensation, but also in terms of work-life balance and quality of the opportunities you have in a career path in the city of Knoxville. For those of you who've been on council a longer time, you'll remember the challenges we faced several years ago. Our wages were way below market. We had a lot of vacancies and very few applicants and a lot of inflation. And then, of course, the challenges of all employers faced during COVID. So I want to thank you and our employee reps and all our 1,600 plus employees for facing those challenges methodically and professionally. And we did it collectively too, as a team, both employer, employees, council, mayor. It was a really big team effort. It felt like we had a sense of urgency because of all those vacancies, because of the pandemic. And also, we didn't close the city for a single day. We stayed open. We never stopped answering calls for service for 911. We never stopped serving the people of our community. So I do want to thank the many people, council, of course, thank you for your efforts on that. Our employee reps, Larry McAfee, Jason Booker, Stephanie Guptail, who you just heard from. Really appreciate their partnership. You're going to hear shortly from Chad Weth, our deputy COO, and he's been part of this. One of the things that this council did is create an HR department, and our inaugural director of HR, Dr. Kelly Drummond, she and her team have been a huge part of this effort of making working towards continuing to support us as a model employer. Christine Stickler, Department of Benefits and Risk. That's a very technical and complex department, and I'm so proud of the progress we've made in that regard as well. Melissa Foster, the new Executive Secretary of the Civil Service Merit Board. Nick Bradshaw, he has been Interim Executive Secretary of Civil Service Merit Board in addition to his innovative leadership at Fleet. Christy Pekowski is Executive Director of the Pension Program. And one thing, I know Lynn Fugett's not here, but she's the City Council's rep on pension. Every time we do a raise, it also increases our obligations to the pension board. So I know you all are very conscious of the budget impact of raises. It's important. We always want be as fair and generous and market-driven as we can be. Just a few things. These have been mentioned, but I think it bears repeating. We did a comprehensive compensation plan. We did the study. We did workshops. A lot of thought went into that. And then you all approved implementing it all at once. And we had to do a property tax increase to do that. So that took a lot of work, took a lot of political will, and I appreciate your efforts to do that. And it has yielded results, which you're going to hear about when Chad presents some of the real positive results we've had in recruitment and retention. We created the new HR department. We completed mid-cycle studies of both police and fire and made some needed adjustments. Last year, you all approved significant increase in the stipends for advanced EMT and paramedics for our firefighters. And this is something that it's hard to measure, and I think sometimes we take it for granted. But if you talk to people who work for other entities, this is very rare. Thanks to your support, we have kept healthcare costs flat for our employees for 11 straight years. No employee reps mention that because no one's complaining about it because it's good. No, the costs to them have not gone up. Any cost increases have been borne by us, the employer. We also believe in work-life balance. We want people to be happy at work, feel supported at work, but also feel like they can have a life outside of work. So I'm really proud that we recently added 8 weeks of paid family leave. That's for parents of all kinds, birth or adoptive parents. We optimize our tuition reimbursement to the max that's allowable by the state the IRS. We recently, I mentioned this already, we helped support the search for a new executive secretary for the Civil Service Merit Board. And just this week, we posted RFP procurement to have free family gym membership for all city employees. So we're hopeful to get the response to that. And then once we have the winning bidder, work out a plan so every city employee will also have access to a free gym membership. We're also working on improving our deferred compensation match. So even though we're going to, we just heard, and we always will have challenges, I don't want to pat ourselves on the back, but I think that our progress should be recognized and celebrated. And so I appreciate your support for all of those accomplishments. Some things coming up that are going to happen after some of you cycle off of council, but while some of you are still on, we're going to complete a study of our longevity program. Several leaders of the city are going to be going to a Harvard Bloomberg program this next month and focused on employee engagement. As Larry McAfee mentioned, we're in the early stages of the firefighter strategic plan. That's going to be actually on your agenda next week. We're completing a KFD overtime analysis, salary benchmarking, and then as promised, coming up is a second comprehensive compensation study in FY 26 and 27. So it's really important to get compensation and benefits and employee morale as high as we can. And we've made a lot of progress, and I'm eager to continue working on it together with council and our employees. Thank you very much. And I will be able to stay for a few minutes, but I have to be somewhere else for 5 o'clock. So when I leave, just know that I had a previous commitment. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. All right. Well, next up, the formal presentation by Mr. Weth, Deputy Chief COO. Chad, I think we have the presentation a few days in advance, so thank you for that.
No problem.
Hopefully, I don't know if it's too late for that RFP to include gym memberships for former council members, but, one last plug.
Yeah.
Before we leave. All right, Chad, take us away. Thanks.
All right. Well, I feel like, they all said it really well, so I think we're done. No, I'm just kidding.
Questions?
First off, thank you all for letting me speak to you all again. I was here last month, so I apologize to you all. You get to listen to me again. But I'm really excited to be here. Again, I'm Chad Weth. I'm the Deputy Chief Operating Officer. I'm very excited to talk about this topic. I'm actually an HR guy by trade, so I'm super passionate about HR. And I'm excited to be able to talk about some of the amazing people we have in the city and the good work that we have been doing, as the mayor mentioned. So speaking of the good work, again, we have a great HR team, benefits, pension, everything that goes together to make a good program for our applicants, for our employees. I'm very excited to talk about that. You will hear a lot about us saying that we are trying to brand ourselves as an employer of choice for the region and the state. And I think that's something that this mayor and you all, with your support, have really kicked off, and we will be trying to continue that effort. A little bit of my thunder has been gone because you've been introduced to most of these people, but I do want to point out that I think both the police chief, Paul Noel, and fire chief is here as well. And as we go through this presentation, while I have a lot of passion, that doesn't mean I always have the knowledge. So there's plenty of people here that can answer your questions. So if you guys have questions as I go through this, please jump in and ask whatever questions may come up. And then we'll also have time for some question and answers at the end. So again, while these, the departments were mentioned, HR, benefits, pension, those may take the lead. Also just want to add, as the mayor did, this is really a team effort. Even with you all as members of city council, everyone plays an important role on the recruiting and the retention and these efforts that we've put forth. So I think we've introduced everybody now that's in the room tonight. So I'm going to skip that part and we will move on to the next slide. Some of these I mentioned already, but not going to talk much about the past, but just going backwards just a little bit. When Mayor Kincannon came in office, it wasn't necessarily the easiest time. There's a few things. You may have heard of COVID. That's something that really changed the workplace, right? We had to learn how to work differently. We also had the impact of several people leaving the organization because of COVID and not returning, right? So we had to learn how to work remotely, socially distance, very unique time. With that also came the market impact of salaries and inflation going way up. So we did a survey in about 2022 that showed that we were about 10% below market. So between COVID and all the changes there and that 10%, really it was not a place where we wanted to be. Couple that with the fact that we really had not done a true comprehensive salary survey. I've been here 18 years. The previous one was done in 2007. So that was about a 15-year gap to where we really didn't do a full comprehensive salary survey. And I think everybody would tell you that that's just a little bit too long. So a few other issues that we had was just the culture and accountability, especially with law enforcement. So we hired Chief Noel. He fixed all that immediately. I think that's correct. He's back there not paying. So yeah. No, we hired Chief Noel. It was a big step for our police department. Really done a great job of improving things there. We also had a lot of cumbersome and antiquated recruiting. I would say that we never had a recruiting budget in the city of Knoxville. Civil service did job postings, and that was really the basis of our recruiting budget. So we do a much better job now of recruiting, as we will talk about coming up. The outdated and sometimes conflicting rules and procedures that we had with the administrative rules and the civil service rules, that is in process even right now, trying to really do a good job of modernizing the civil service rules and working close together. That's something else that I think is key with the HR department and civil service and benefits and everybody working together as a team to create a true benefits package. So again, everything that happened 5 years ago, what did that really cause? It caused low applicant rates, right? We didn't have a lot of people applying for our jobs. We weren't seeking out well-qualified applicants. We also had staffing shortages. Police is a big one. I can't remember, but I think we hope that they'll be fully staffed in the next year and a half. That's a big deal, right? Public service, always close to my heart, had low staffing issues too. We'll talk about that, we've gotten better, but I think there's still a little bit ways to go, as even Stephanie was kind of mentioning. But that all adds up to those issues that we had. So that brings us to today. And the last few years, we've really been responding to the challenge. And again, if anybody has any questions, y'all are welcome to jump in. So in 22, again, we did a comprehensive compensation study. With your all support, we actually increased property tax to pay for that. We paid for that in the first year, which again, in my 18 years, typically we've had to spread those out over multiple years, which is okay. But at the end of those years, sometimes you're already behind by the time it fully gets implemented. So to implement all of that in 2022 was a really big step. We adopted a uniform body step program. I think both Officer Booker and Mr. McAfee mentioned. That was a big deal to try to keep up with the times and keep up with the inflation that was happening at the time. Even a few years ago, we did a mid-study market analysis for KPD and KFD just to ensure that we're still on par with what the market is. This one should have been first, but obviously created an HR department. That's about I think everybody on the HR department back there. So that was a really big step for the city. There's not many organizations that don't have an HR department, right? Once you get to a certain size, everybody has an HR department to really help take care and look after the people. The mayor already did this, but I know Christine couldn't be here, but Katie Tanner is here from benefits. 11 years of healthcare costs being the same is unbelievable. Quick story, my wife works for the federal government, and 2 years ago, ours actually became better than hers, which is amazing to say. Everybody thinks the federal government always has the best insurance. I'm here to tell you that that's not always true, right? We have really good benefits here at the city. I definitely can't list everything, but these are just a few more. A really robust health and wellness. The EAP program has gotten more use than it ever has. The mayor mentioned this, the paid family medical leave of 8 weeks. We also have done many things internally with the departments, increased uniform allotments, EAP programs, employee recognition programs. There's several things that are going on that I can't possibly mention today.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is the HR department, Dr. Drummond, fully staffed at this point? Yes, we are. Okay. And do you know how many employees have participated in the family leave program?
I will let Katie come up and answer that. If she, oh, you don't?
Okay.
Okay.
It's okay if you don't.
Yeah, we can get that for you.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, we'll get
Any
that for you.
Any other questions? It feels like a lot. We can tell you that. Okay. All right. Good.
You can go to the next one. So again, continuing to some of the things that we're doing, the public safety recruit program. This was a really important step. I mean, when people apply to become to the police department, typically there's a waiting period before they can start the academy, right? They start the academy with a group of people. So something that this program did was allow them to hire. Once they get through all their backgrounds and everything that they have to do, they can be hired immediately, and then they can come on board and they can start that academy when the academy starts, but they can go ahead and be employed. That was a big step of that program. There's still some tweaking going on. I think HR, as they will tell you, is evaluating that for even the fire department. That same thing happens with the fire department. If somebody wants to be a fireman, they might have got through the process even today, but I know that the academy doesn't start till October 20th. Those delays sometimes hinder people's ability to, they need to find a job, right? Nobody can go that long without finding a job. So that recruit program is something that they're still, kind of evaluating and tweaking. Hiring expos, again, I mentioned that the only real recruiting we did was a job posting. HR has done a really good job of helping departments recruit. HR probably doesn't have the skills to know exactly what it's like to be a police officer, but HR has the skills of how to get people to the table, right? So HR is working with police, fire, they've worked with public service on really going out and engaging people and going to these job fairs. I know there's some data on that. If it's not in this presentation, but they could obviously share how many job fairs and things they have gone to. It's night and day difference from what it was 5 years ago. Even public service, we did a direct hire event back in March. I would say that, even 3 years ago, that was unheard of. To have a direct hire event, which would include getting applications done, getting physicals done with the center and benefits, getting all the paperwork done in a short amount of time and having them start very quickly, that was something that took a lot of work from a lot of people. And that's something that we're still trying to continue to do even more of. Mentioned this already, Civil Service Merit Board and Human Resources really continuing to work together very closely. and continuing to modernize, especially with the rules and the regulations of each group. Things that are still to come, we mentioned the paid membership this fall. We made a note, Vice Mayor, we'll see if you can include you in there. Improved compensation program. Typically, our 457 plan has had a very low match. And I think one thing that we have heard from employees is, we did pension reform in 2013, and that match still has never changed. So looking at giving our newer employees a better match with their 457 plan, I think is a really good step towards our, again, it's not direct compensation, but, that benefit package all plays in. And the last one I've already mentioned is just the employer choice communication. HR is working with our communications team to really brand us as an employer of choice, and that, so we can promote not just our pay, but our benefits and all the things that it means to work for the city of Knoxville. Just some pictures. Those are the last few recruit classes. I think that was the, talk of opening Fire Station 6 in Burlington as well. So, to the results, the data tells a story. We're going to go through most of these in a little bit more detail. I know that if you don't keep score, you don't know how well you're doing. So we've really tried to focus more over the last few years with data analytics and to make sure that our efforts are really paying off, whether that's recruiting, hiring, retention, turnover, the whole 9 yards. So we'll talk about each of these just a little bit more. Some of the positives are, we've had full and continuous, police recruit classes. That's a really big deal. Back-to-back KPD recruit classes, those are just almost nonstop now. So some of the challenges, we still have a few challenges that we will discuss. I think public service is still one of the challenges. We are not where we want to be. There'll be some data that discusses that as well. So just to look at some of the data, this is the number of uniform applications, which, as you can tell, everything is trending up. And I think this is a direct result of all of our recruiting efforts. We are also working really hard to make things easier on applicants. Nick, when he was in civil service, and I know civil service is working more towards doing more online testing, right? So people don't have to come into town to do testing. When they do come into town, they're all working together as well to try to make sure we can get as much done at one time, right? So you don't have to come back separate times to do your background or your polygraph or your physical with the center. Like, do as much of that at one time so we don't put that wear and tear on the applicants. KPD had over 1,000 applicants on the referral this year, which is amazing. As you can tell, even, maybe not as much with fire, but everybody has been trending upward over the last few years.
Chad, this is the count of the initial application, right? It's not.
Correct.
They completed the very first step, so okay, that's what this count is here?
Correct,
Okay.
yes. So turnover, again, almost every
Sorry,
number.
1 second.
Yes.
Councilmember Roberto.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Hey, just going back to the last slide. My question was, obviously recruitment is going up in all departments. My question is, how many of the existing employees and the recruits live within the boundaries of the city? My guess is not very many, but I'm just wondering that. And then for each of the employee groups that we're talking to, do you see a benefit to having people who are working at the city, living in the city? And don't confuse that with me saying that I think you should require that folks live in the city. I'm just asking if there's benefit to that, and if that's something we should be looking for and aiming towards.
Does anybody else want to? I can speak a little bit about public service. Several years ago, when we try to hire folks, we try to do these group interviews, and we asked the same questions to every applicant, of course. And one of the things we actually did do was give them points on their score. I'll say points because this was done internally if they lived in the city. Very minor thing, but I do agree. I think if you live and work and play and everything in the city that you work in, it's a benefit. But I think somebody else was going to speak a little bit.
A number of months ago, we
Sorry.
You might need
just
to
for
come
the
up, just for
recording,
the record.
Recording, we need you to come up. Thank you.
I'm Katrina. I'm the data analyst for HR. We pulled that data a number of months ago. I'll just have to circle back with you guys and get it to you again.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Okay, Chad, thanks.
So turnover, applicants are one thing, turnover is another. So we've been looking at turnover. Again, something that HR does a really good job of keeping the stats on. As you can see, most of it is trending in the right direction. Fire department went from 7% in '23, and today they're at 2%. So public service we saw our biggest increase last year, which we got up to 24%, about 49 employees short, that's when we came and made some tweaks, but we're still at 12%. Personally, I think that could still be better. I think we could still improve there in public service, but even the rest of general government has gone from 18 to 16 to 6. So turnover is definitely down, on average across every department. That was, the last one you saw was number of applications for uniform bodies. This is number of applications for the city. As you can tell, in 24-25, we were just under 8,000. Which really has doubled since 21 and 22. So that speaks volumes again to the recruiting efforts and hopefully to the desire that people have to want to work for the city of Knoxville. But doubling in just over 4 years is quite impressive. That being said, the amount of new hires that are being processed has not slowed down. We were over 350 last year, and as you can tell, we processed more new hires last year than any other year over the past 5. So that probably speaks a little bit to the high turnover that we had several years ago, and really working very diligently to get caught up. But not only are we having more applications and we're hiring more people, I think the most important is this next slide, which is that we are receiving much more qualified applicants. Getting 100 applicants is great, but if only 2 of them are really qualified, then that doesn't get you very far. But we can tell by the number of applicants that we're not only receiving good quantity, but good quality as well. There are hundreds of examples that civil service pulled on this one, but these are just a few. Principal secretary, we got 19 in 23 and 24, and we were over 50 this time. And this even applies to some of our really high level, I know like a civil engineer. At one point we got 7, and this past time we got 13, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you double your applicants, that's pretty significant for a very high level, job like an engineer. Even financial analysts, almost doubled from 60 something to 117. So it's not just about getting applicants, it's getting good qualified people as well. Going a little bit back to salaries, this is an example of KPD officer. Again, in 22, we knew we were behind market, and not only that, but things were becoming, inflation was really high, right? So this is an example of police officer 1 salary. This is actual example. They've gone from $40,599 to $65,000 over the course of 5 years. So a really considerable jump. It's about a 60% increase for this employee in salary over these 5 years. Again, I would say that's a compliment to you all, to the administration, our finance team, HR, everybody that has gone into this. It's not only about bringing in people to boost our numbers, it's about also trying to take care of the people that are here as well.
Just a point of clarification, this includes the 2.5% annual raise.
Correct, yes. This next one is a police officer 4 salary. So this one would be one of your more senior officers who have been here a while. This is about a 26% increase. So they've gone from 72,000 to right at a little over 91,000 in just over 5 years. So just a couple of real life examples of actual employees and what their salaries have changed over the last 5 years. Very drastic increases. Moving to firefighter and firefighter recruit. This was also at about that 26% jump. So firefighter recruit has gone from a starting salary of $35,900 to $45,000, again, over that same 5-year, 6-year stretch. Same with firefighters, gone up about 26% to $48,000. In addition to just base salary, we've also looked at incentives, whether that be for KFD or KPD. This is one incentive. That says EMT. I just want to point out that's for the firefighters that get a paramedic's license. That is almost quadrupled over this time. So it used to, incentive in 2020 was $2,100, and in 2025 now it's $8,000 if the firefighters choose to go that extra step and get their paramedic's license. And again, that's an increase. Fire officer salary too has increased about 36%.
Sorry, just a question on the
Yeah.
medical incentive. Is that certification done in-house or is external? They have to go somewhere?
I can
Chief
let
Sharp?
Chief Sharp answer that.
And if it's external, there's a cost to the city, I assume?
What was the question?
For the medical incentive for,
Yes.
Is that certification done in-house? Is that
Some of them are. Basic EMT, we do that in every recruit academy. If they don't already have that, they have to get that. So everyone gets that. Advanced EMT, we are doing their own training now, so they can do that. They still have to come on their own time, but we do the class.
Right.
And we're working it out this fall in their upcoming class where they're going to be able to do some of it on duty, not all of it. They
Yeah.
still have to do some of their own.
I knew that was a trade-off a long time ago.
Yes,
And
yes.
what made the $2,000 incentive?
And paramedic, we do not do our own paramedic training. It's a year-long training that they have to go through. We do give them some attending school days to encourage them, and we pay for all of their training, but we don't have our own.
So it's only the paramedic where there's an external cost to the city to have it done
It's
elsewhere?
about it costs about $10,000 to send someone to paramedic school.
Wow, okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, next one. We definitely talk a lot about police and fire, but this is general government. These are some examples of the general government salaries. These have also seen very significant increases. So public service worker was at 25.5 in 2020 and is now at 36,246. So that's actually a 42% increase over the last 5 to 6 years. On average, these 5 positions have increased 28%. So again, really trying to do a good job of keeping up with the market and the inflation that has been occurring and paying people higher in the entry level and as they work longer at the city. So challenges. Stephanie mentioned compression. As you raise salaries, especially the entry level salaries, compression is going to happen. It happens all across the city, but I know there's, as you raise, for example, public service worker at $18, those folks that have been there a while maybe don't see the same increases. I actually ran some numbers just on public service the other day, and if there was a 10-year employee who had been there about in the same job, their salary had raised 34%, which is really good, but then the bottom had raised about 40%. So that's where you start to see a little bit of those compression things happening. The team sees it, we get it, HR is looking at it, and we are aware of it, and we hopefully are doing some things to fix it. And we'll talk about that a little bit more on the next slide. But a few other challenges that still exist is the KFD. Again, we are getting ready to do a strategic plan, which hopefully will guide KFD into the future, the next 5, 10 years, 20 years down the road. KPD retirements. There's still some really good people that work over there that are going to retire. I think we are much better apt to handle it than we were before, but that's still scary, right? So we need to make sure that we continue to recruit and retain employees as our older employees decide to retire. Public service, we are still down 34 employees. That's still, again, I've mentioned that's really not where we want to be. I think there are various reasons for that, but we continue to do our best to recruit with HR's assistance and get more people in the door, and hopefully we'll continue to see that number come down a little bit more. Again, sticking with public service, we did raise their minimum entry level to $18 an hour. I think that has been a huge step. Before we did that, it was in the about $15.60. So that was a major jump. I can't imagine what we would be if we didn't do that, right? So we're working really hard. Again, I think it goes to just more recruiting and getting a better level of applicants in the door. Post-COVID, a lot of people still like to work from home. A lot of people still like to be, in that transition of offering flexible schedules. That's something that, prior to COVID, I don't think any organization really dealt with a whole lot, but we are definitely still looking at those things and making sure that we can offer the flexibility that some people would like to have with their jobs. And again, we've talked a lot about attracting talent. I think the second bullet point from the bottom is also really important, which is developing our talent, right? If we can get them in the door, how can we hold on to them? Which is probably harder and more difficult than the first part, right? We got to get them in the door, but then we also got to provide training opportunities and ways that we can make sure that talent grows and we get to keep the talent and we retain it for many years to come.
Councilwoman Helsley?
You said you thought there were multiple reasons why you didn't have the employee retention in public service. Aside from salary, what else might that be?
I think it still has a lot to do with the market, and this is more me talking, just from my history in public service. I think, even raising it to $18 an hour, we compete against private construction companies and other private companies that will pay a general laborer a pretty good salary, right? And on top of that, we also recruit, I shouldn't call them kids, but I'm almost 50. It seems like they're kids. We recruit a younger workforce that probably doesn't look at the benefits side the way some other folks do. They look at that bottom line of $18 an hour, and if they can go over there and make 22, that's where they're going, right? We still struggle with getting more people in the door. You see most applicants have gone way up in most fields. Service has not gone up the way it has in these other fields. Also, now, even the great benefits we offer, well, some kids can stay on their parents' insurance till they're 26. That doesn't help us recruit, right? So that is really, some of those things are just challenging, and I think it's really just because of the demographic that we're recruiting for. The most success we have is when people are either kind of tired of the rat race where they're at, or are maybe even looking for a second career. Those guys tend to come because they need those benefits and they stay a long time. So that's a little bit of my opinion, but that's why I think public service is still maybe struggling a little bit, because the market is kind of still flooded with those kind of lower level entry jobs.
Fair. From my past life, I can tell you young people could care less about a pension.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
like, I may not live to see it. I've heard that over and over again. Thank you.
Yep.
I have a question about general employees. We've talked a lot about police and fire, but for general employees, understanding the compression dynamics and compensation study and but in terms of min and max and the range of pay, what should be the general expectation for a general employee where there may not be another level above them? Should they be able to reach their max compensation over a career with the city? Okay, can you explain this a little bit?
Yeah.
To a layperson, that doesn't sound very optimistic, so please explain.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone. When we think about your salary range and we look at the min and the max, what we look at is what the range of the salary should be based on the job that you're doing. You never want to, and most people often say, I want to get to the max. If we look at the max, and I'm going to give you two pieces of information here, but if you look at the max and you want to get to the max and we max out, what you have is that you max out today. And what you found was that as you looked at this from 20 to 25, if you maxed out in 20 and you don't do anything else, then in 2025, you are below again. So the salary range is set up for you to be able to work within the range so that you never truly max out. But what truly happens is we have a 2.5% increase. And that is that 2.5% that you all approve for each year. The base of the salary, which is the minimum of the salary, increases by 1.5%. So you're always moving up in the salary, but it is designed for you to move up. Prior to 2022, when we created this, what was actually happening was that you increase the base by 2.5%, and you got your 2.5%. So you never moved. What is happening now is that we're looking at it. And so every year you're increasing towards that. But every year we need to also look at, and why we do the study every 5 years, is to look at, are those salaries in market? And that's what we're always trying to do to stay in the market. This becomes so much going through the process. But what I want you to think about is, are we in the market? Do we want to be at the top of the market? Do we want to be at the bottom of the market? Or do we want to be in the mid of the market? And what we're doing right now is staying in that 80% of the market. So we're not at the very bottom. We are not at the top, but we're close to the top. And so our goal is to be always moving within the market. And that's where it comes from.
But if you're at your max of your range and we do a compensation study and change the range, wouldn't you also still be at your max in the new range?
No, sir. So when you look at this, if you're close to your max, and I'm going to use public service worker because I think that is the biggest one to look at. When we looked at the salary range around 2020, what you found was that the minimum was around 22 and the maximum, or 20, and the maximum was at 32,000. If you started at that maximum, today they're starting above the maximum. And so you don't want to get at that maximum and stay at the maximum. You want to get in there, and we can't pay everyone at the maximum. But what we're doing is saying, here's the range for the type of work that you're doing. What we also put in place in 2022 was the ability to have an equity adjustment so you can pay above the minimum. Prior to 2022, you could not pay above the minimum. So now we have put in place through you all this ability that we can pay above the minimum, and we can pay based on your experience, based on some unique things that you bring in, whereas in the past we could not do that. So once you get that in, it'll place you within the pay grade, and you can pay, as Ms. Guptill talked about, you can pay anywhere within that pay grade, and the departments have the ability to look at an individual applicant to determine what they bring, the unique experiences, the education, and their skills, and then we can pay within that. We know that that is the rate of pay, but we also will look at it again in 5 years to say, are we close to that? And are we still within that pay? Because we know that we are not jumping as high as we would like to with 2.5%. Some years we may need 4. If you all remember, in 2022, there was the one single bump that was at 6% to deal with the cost of living, or in that point, inflation. But the 2.5% may not keep us all the way up to the level of inflation. So that's why we have to look at this again. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Weth?
Okay, so continuing the next couple years, we've talked about some of the issues, and hopefully some of these things will address some of those issues. So number one, talk about compression a lot, the longevity study that it's about to get underway, hopefully within the next few months. I think this is a big step. We still pay, based on your years of service, $120 each year after 4 years. That has not changed from way before I was here, and so it started sometime in the 90s from my understanding. So that has not kept up with the current market. So that's something that we are looking at that will hopefully help. It won't solve it, but hopefully that would help compression a little bit. This was mentioned, I think the mayor mentioned this. They're looking at a Harvard Bloomberg program that's going to help study employee engagement. So it's an 18-month program. I think Kelly and HR wrote a proposal for that, and it's hopefully going to establish a baseline for employee engagement and create a plan for the retention of talent. It goes back to kind of what I was saying last slide. Sometimes getting people in the door is easier than holding on to them, right? So this will be a good step to try to figure out how we make sure employees stay engaged and we're training them and getting them to the next levels of their career. It's already been mentioned, but the KFD strategic plan, strategic plan kind of helps uncover what you do well and what you're not doing well, right? So trying to figure out those gaps and how they can improve will really guide them into the next decade. Part of that strategic plan is the overtime analysis. They have a lot of overtime now. Is that the best practice, right? That's what a strategic plan will look at, try to identify what those best practices are. No presentation would be done without talking about technology, so got to throw that in there. Our IT team does a good job of really trying to bring us up to speed. This technology upgrade is a really big deal. We've talked about, doing more testing online with civil service. One of the issues that we hear a lot from applicants is that the application process is a little bit cumbersome. Even our IT department understands that sometimes the website will crash depending on what browser you're using. That is something we are looking at fixing. Hopefully that will allow, again, trying to be as easy, as simple as we can on the applicants that we are trying to serve. Civil Service Merit Board rules, that's being cleaned up right now. Those have not been looked at in years. So again, continuous improvement on the rules and regulations. And then benchmarking. So we now have it in our ordinance that we will look at and do a comprehensive salary survey every 5 years. Doing some benchmarking in between will allow us to make those little tweaks. So hopefully when you do these big comprehensive compensation studies, you won't have the expense like we had in '22. If we stay on top of it, then you shouldn't have the major, $5+ million to get people back up to market. Doing it every 5 years and then doing some benchmarking in between should keep us where we need to be. And the last thing, part-time employees, I know there's a big push to pay $15 an hour. We're also going to look at a pay analysis. That would be for, our lifeguards and for our umpires and the things that are more event staff and short-term. Those salaries haven't come up. They've come up a little bit, but they could probably come up a little bit more on that front. So really looking at a pay analysis on our part-time employees as well. Lastly is really developing a compensation philosophy. This goes back to, I mentioned we hadn't done a comprehensive plan. We did one in between for police and fire, but we went 15 years without really doing a major comprehensive plan for general government. I think most people in that industry would say that's way too long. Again, every 5 years or so is what you look for. So this mayor is trying to set it up to where we have a long-lasting system of compensation that will maintain competitiveness and, again, hopefully allow us to continue to attract and retain good people. Say it again, we want to become that, a model employer for the state and the region, especially as it relates to government. So ensuring that we have competitive wages is really one part of that. So I'll read the last statement, which is the City of Knoxville will have competitive benefits that support employees, their families, and professional development with the goal of providing exceptional services to the city. That's a good tagline. It's good branding for what we hope to become. And I think that's our last slide. So you can see some wonderful pictures of some job fairs. And if anybody has any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh, come on.
Sure. We try to ask questions throughout, but there are probably a few remaining. Great.
Hello, my name is Katie Tanner. I'm the benefits manager, and I'm here because Christine Stickler could not be here today. So you had asked about how many employees had taken advantage of the paid parental leave this year. And I texted my team while the rest of the meeting was going on, and I got an answer. So since this started in January 1st of 2025, we've had 52 cases total. 27 have already had the baby and gotten their 8 weeks and are back at work. 10 are currently active, and 15 are coming up before the end of the year. And then since that time, I know there's some concern, they get paid out the 8 weeks, and then are they going to come back or not? And so far, only one employee has not come back.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah.
What a team. Thanks for that. Councilmember Roberto.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I had some questions for Chief Noel, if he's still here. So Chief, while you're coming up, I was really glad to hear about how the retention and recruitment efforts are going with KPD as well as with the other organizations we're talking to today. But what I wanted to ask you is, seeing the improvements you have in recruitment classes over time, are we getting to a point where we can think to adjust away from the 12-hour shift? I've always had a problem with when we had to shift to that. I know we did because of recruitment and retention problems, but I'd like to see the officers maybe being able to get more of a break than having 12-hour shifts. Could you maybe talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah, great question. So actually something, that we shifted to, if you remember, before I came here, when our staffing levels shrunk so low, we went to 12-hour shifts to put more officer hours out on the street. 12-hour shift is a very, very efficient schedule if, you're dealing with robots, but, police officers, it's a really hard schedule to work a full 12-hour shift, sometimes have court mandatory overtime, cycle back within that period. Really hard to get adequate sleep and rest. They're also shifting from nights to days every 28 days, which affects their cycle. So as our staffing levels are increasing, we're looking at different scheduling options now. We're talking with my leadership team, but we're also engaging the employees as well to see what schedule they want to work. Any schedule that we shift to is going to be less efficient, which means, we'll have less officer hours on the street. But long-term, it's actually better for the employee because it gives them a better wellness opportunity. The downside for us operationally is, it really equates to less patrol officers on the street doing all the things that we want to do. There's actually more things that I would really love to shift to that we could be doing better. Our city is growing. Right now, our city is growing, but the region is growing. More people are using our city, our downtown. I spent a fair amount of time downtown. Our downtown is growing. The old city is busy at night. We need to do more traffic enforcement. We need to do more public order issues, not only downtown, but on our green spaces all the way across the city. So we are looking at scheduling options now, but that does come at a cost.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that too, because I think increasing presence in greenways and parks is an important piece. Downtown is an important piece, as well as the traffic enforcement and DUI checkpoints. So I think all of those are good things. Can you talk to us about your efforts in regard to diversity at the department, both in officers as well as in your leadership team?
Sure, absolutely. So we've really made hiring diverse candidates, not only candidates of African Americans, but Hispanics and females as well. We've made moderate progress there. Diversity is important. It's not the most important thing. The most important thing for me is to hire a competent workforce and getting close to fully staffed, which we are going to have the first wait list for the police department. But I'm very proud of the efforts that we've done over the last couple of years since I've been here. Dare to say we've hired more people of color in the last 3 years than we've hired in over 10 years. I don't have the data in front of me to look at. That's just anecdotally. We have a lot of people of color come through our department. Same thing with hiring females as well. Increasing the number of females in our department is something that's very, very important.
Okay. And then something we've all talked about a lot has been the co-response team. So how are we doing with the co-response team? If your numbers are growing up, do you want the co-response teams to increase? Are you looking for funding for that? How are we doing there?
Absolutely. So, right now we have 6 teams. Remember, we started off with, before I came here, with a pilot program of just a couple of teams. Now we have 6. We had a lively debate, I guess maybe about 6 months ago at a council meeting, just about getting approval for a grant to get us up to 9 teams. We did not get that grant, so we still sit at 6 teams. I really believe that we need 12 teams that would be fully staffed. as our department grows, as our city grows, the need for that is there now. So that is something that is going to be on the forefront to get that co-responder program eventually up to 12 teams. We absolutely need it. We need it today.
Thank you.
Councilmember Thomas.
Yes, Officer, or Chief, rather, excuse me. In response to that last question, are we at the 24-hour coverage yet? Where are we on that?
No, sir. So we need 12 teams to get. If we had 12 teams, I would say we would get to 22-hour coverage. And the reason we could go to 24 hours, but from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m., looking at the data would probably be a waste. So I'd rather have a little overlap on the front end. Getting us to 12 teams would get us to 22-hour coverage.
Okay, we definitely need to work for that.
We absolutely need that. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Helsley.
And for levity, Chief, I think you've been here long enough to quit talking funny.
I think I'm the only one in the room that doesn't talk funny.
No, you're not good on adjusting. Like you're here, just saying.
All y'all. Okay.
Councilmember Roberto.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I don't know if this is better for, I wanted to ask some questions about KFD. Chief Sharp, do you want to come down? I don't know if it's better for you or Mr. McAfee. Yeah. Hey. Thanks, Chief. I know we saw in the charts that our Deputy COO so kindly showed us about the successes with recruitment and retention across all of the different departments. But what I was wondering about is, are you getting to the point where you can have, 4 firefighters in a response team as opposed to 3 with the recruitment and retention that you're seeing? And if you are getting close to that, is that a good place for us to go, or is there some benefit to us doing that, or should that be our goal?
Yeah, so four-person staffing on every unit, I mean, that's the gold standard for fire departments. Every fire department wants to get there. Yeah, we are not there. We do have, we basically staff with 3 on each company every day. We just don't have the staff to keep there, even with, we have, some of the companies have 4 people assigned to it, but with vacation, sick, people attending school, people on military leave and everything else, there's just 3 on every company every day. Ultimately, we would love to get there. And we do plan on having, recruit academies really every year. We had one every year except in 2022, and that kind of bit us. We got a little bit behind, and we're having to, do more mandatories and more overtime because of that, because we were so at such low staffing.
Well, you mentioned it's the gold standard. So what would, a citizen who had a response that came with 4 firefighters in a response team than 3, what kind of benefit are they seeing with that gold standard? Why is that a goal?
Because when you are on a fire scene, you have to get so many people there. There's a standard for a residential fire or a commercial fire to have a certain number of people on every single fire scene, and you're able to get more people there quicker when you have 4 people on the truck, and it reduces injuries. There have been studies that have shown it reduces injuries if you have 4 people on a truck, and there's just several other factors when it comes to especially fires.
Okay. And then we talked a little bit about the EMT and paramedic program earlier. How many firefighters want to go through that program but aren't able to because of funding? Do you have a wait list? What does that look like?
We did have a wait list last year. We ran a class of 20 through the advanced EMT program, our own program last year. Not all of them were able to pass the National Registry exam, but we had really good results, better than the community colleges. So this year we are actually having an even larger class. We've been able to work that out, and so everyone of our employees that are able, that want to and are able, are going to be able to go through the advanced EMT class this fall. We've already got 26 people lined up, and it starts in just a couple of weeks. And the paramedic program, as I said before, it's totally different. We send them to one of the local community colleges. It's a full year program, but we do provide the funding for that.
Okay, thank you very much. And also, I was just glad to hear that, our deputy COO talked about compression. So I think that's an important piece. And I think the slide said compression, talking to us about how much of a challenge that is. And then I think we had probably all of the employee reps talk to us about compression. So we understand that's an issue. So I appreciate that. One of the questions I did have about the uniform services, and this might be for Mr. Weth, is we have the 4.2% increases for the pay raises, but don't those have a time limit? Are those going to expire in the end of this budget cycle?
Yes, you want to come up and answer? Yes, they do, but I'll let Dr. Drummond answer.
Dr. Drummond.
When you all implemented this in 2022, it went into effect for a finite period of time. We will come back to you for next fiscal year to ask for an extension for 1 year while we're going through the strategic plan for the fire department and while we're also looking at the full compensation study. So we're asking for 1 more year. We will come back to you all.
Are you going to do that before December?
Before December of this year?
Yeah.
No, sir. It stays into effect until next to the end of this fiscal year. So we will bring that before you all in, I guess, March, April, but you all will vote on it in May.
These two will. The rest of us won't be here.
We need your support to have it for at least 1 more year as we look at this, because as it has been stated before, our uniform employees have seen a significant increase in their base compensation, and that 4.2 is a significant reason in the STEP plan. We need to, as we deal with compression, we will need to look at what does the STEP plan look like, and we're committed to doing a lot of studying to determine what is the best way moving forward. But that 4.2 has made a significant difference in how we have been able to recruit and bring in those entry levels. So.
Well, and that's important, and I appreciate that. So just to be clear, the current council won't be here for when that happens. So
You'd be dead to us, buddy.
Debbie won't talk to me anymore at that point, I'm sure.
There will be new representatives from the council, from the city, but we are hopeful that you all will support this because it is making a huge difference moving forward in what we are able to do for uniform. So we need you.
I would agree with you because I don't think that you could have the success story about retention and recruitment without that piece. Absolutely. So thank you. And I was really glad to hear that, this piece about compression too, even with, the general government employees. I was glad that you were able to mention that as well, because we hear about it all the time with uniformed officers, but we don't hear it as much from general government employees. So I was glad to hear that.
We have done a tremendous job with looking at bringing people in and hiring. And I believe that we will need to continue to focus on how do we retain our best talent? How do we ensure that they are feeling valued as well? And that is something that we will continue to work on because compression is something that we knew would happen, but we need to continue to focus on it in a uniformed way so it is something that all employees feel valued, not just at the beginning, but all employees.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And just wanted to say thank you to all the employees representing each of the groups that we've heard from today. Thank you all for everything you do. Appreciate you.
I just have, any other questions? I just have one more. On behalf of us short-time council members, Deputy Weth, will you I would ask that you include council pay in the part-time study, if that's possible.
Make sure that's done, yeah.
Yeah, future council members can thank me maybe, or maybe it's fine, who knows, but didn't want to make didn't want to miss the opportunity. Councilwoman Ryder.
Yeah, real quick, one of the things that was on the list, I'm sorry, I'm not going to say this correctly because it's not up on the screen right now, but is continuing education benefits. What are they now and what might be considered? Anybody want to, like, what do you guys pay for or reimburse for?
Yeah, it's $52.50 now. I mean, I can tell you that
When you say $52.50, what? What do you mean?
tuition reimbursement?
Yes.
$5,250 a year.
Okay.
And it can go more towards, it used to only be $2,000, used to go to just accredited colleges, but now, correct me if I'm wrong, it can go towards any college, like technical schools or any
Those are
secondary school.
Okay, so any accredited secondary school, because those are accredited as well.
Yes.
Does it have to be job-related, or can it be like, if I'm a public service employee, could I be working on something that's completely, obviously, unjob-related? I can be working on my undergraduate degree, no matter?
Yes, I would encourage that.
Okay.
It was an unfortunate, it's not used as much as I wish it was. So yes, it
Okay,
came.
well, I just, a lot of places of employment, I'm not speaking of the city, it is limited sometimes to the job you're in. And so that's what I wanted to know. It's not confining to the job. Like, if I'm, in public service or in a uniform and I want to get a degree that might land me in human resources or something, I could do that. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, unless something's, I'll let Kelly answer.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think it's.
It is beyond degrees, and so we can look at it for training and professional development as well.
Okay.
And I want to take a moment to brag on one of our staff. Dustin Henshaw, will you stand up? Because I think he's the representative of what you're asking for.
Okay.
Dustin worked in the public service department, and Dustin, your role was? Crew leader. And he applied and came to the Human Resource Department. He is a human resource specialist.
See, I was making that up, but there you go.
No, you're not. And that's why I really wanted to brag on him and wanted to take the time, because he is exactly what you're looking for. He started and got his associate's degree, and he's now working in the Human Resource Department. And he's also working on his now bachelor's degree and going to ETSU. And so he is the epitome of what we are talking about and how he went from public service. He's now working in human resources, and he is growing and developing. And if it was not for tuition reimbursement, he's using tuition reimbursement directly for this.
And just real quickly, since you brought up this example, Dustin, you're going to have to answer because you're at the mic, but how long has Dustin been with the city?
17 years. And
Okay,
you've
cool.
been with us almost 2 years, in our department, almost 2 years.
Okay.
I just needed to brag on him.
So you were with public service for approximately 15? Correct. Okay, thank you.
An example, awesome example.
Councilman Thomas.
Oh, I simply wanted to say thank you very much for offering that example, and congratulations, Dustin. But having that concrete example there really kind of brings it home. So thank you.
Yeah, I would add, that's, again, not too long ago, it was only $2,000 a year. So that's something else we've really increased.
Any other questions? If not, I'll end by saying the same thing I said at the beginning. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for the commitment to attracting good people, making this a fun place to work. We only get bits and pieces of knowledge from you all, and it's a lot. So I can always only imagine what you know that we don't know, and the city's better for all of you. So thank you all, and without any other questions, we're adjourned.
All right, thank you.